Well, good morning, everyone. It is Sunday. Yay. I have a few things to show you. I actually have a few more than I thought I had. It's been an interesting few days. I did a pattern test. I tried out some patterns from my puppet book. I made a giant item, you'll see here in a minute, to kind of use as an accent display type piece. I mean, I'll still have a price tag on it, but the intention was for display purposes. And pulled out an old pattern that was one of my favorites to do last year. And with chatting with Mary, we came up with a new pattern idea between the two of us. And I'm going to show you a couple of the prototypes. And then once I get everything written up, it'll go out to testers and then it'll be ready. It's almost there. It's almost there. I was making it and taking pictures, and then I got carried away and forgot about the pictures. So I got to make another one for more pictures. Anyways, okay, so when we left off last time, I told you I had a little chick on the hook. So we finished him or her. So one mini bird. And I was dying to try out one of my new books. So I started with the puppet book. Just because, you know, it's something different. And I had said I was concerned about using like Parfait Chunky, not because the end will come out, but because the ends will fray. The fluff is going to come off. So I was concerned about using Parfait Chunky. And so I said, what colors do I have in Posh? So I had a green. So we did the frog. Now, my hands are a little big for this because, you know, it's meant for a kid. But this is the frog. It's very easy to do. It gives you directions for crochet dies, but, you know, I just wasn't feeling it. So I put these little felt dies on it. And you can't really see my little spot thingies too well because I used embroidery floss, which I probably should have used a thicker. It's funny how when you get in the lights, you can see all the little pieces of polyfill hanging off. You know, to look all nice and neat till you start to sew and then it starts to pull it out. But yeah, so we did a frog puppet. I can talk. And then I was like, I want to make another one. And I'm so limited on my Posh colors. I said, you know what? I'm going to try Parfait Chunky. So we have the little bunny rabbit. And again, my hands are way too big for this. But I'll hold it like this. Yeah, I got her head a little crooked. You know, that always happens. It'll look so straight and then it shifts as you sew. What can I say? The patterns are easy. Now, the one thing that I learned between the frog and the bunny is when you're doing the bottom part of the puppet, she has you working in the round in double crochet. So when you get to the last part, you've got this ledge hanging off. So you got to try and taper off. And it's just, you know, the taper just isn't quite that smooth. So when I did the bunny, I slip stitched to join and turned my work to do the double crochet so I could end evenly. And then I added a round of single crochet to the bottom just to, you know, make it look finished. And that worked out much better for me. It's very nice and even on the bottom. I don't have that taper. So we did those, and then it was pattern test time. So everybody, I think you know who Stacy is from Stacy Makes here on YouTube. She has been doing these sitting bird patterns. Last package had a rooster, a penguin, and a pigeon. This package, there is a mallard duck, a cardinal, and a seagull, and I believe a pelican modification. So when you applied to be a tester with her, of the 3 birds, the cardinal, the seagull, and the mallard, you had to pick which bird you would like to do. Of course, I would have been fine with any, but my choice was the mallard. And then tell her what type of yarn that you're going to use. That way she can get a good mix. You know, so many people doing this bird, so many people doing this bird. You know, people using this yarn or this yarn or this yarn. It makes it nice to have the photos to be able to display how it's going to turn out, you know, in the different style yarns. I did the mallard, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this is really cute, but ducks don't have clawed feet. So I started chatting with Stacy, and I didn't notice it in the first package because she had a penguin. You know, and the penguins had have webbed feet, kind of, because I didn't make the penguin. So we were, you know, conversing back and forth, and we came up with a way to do webbed feet. Well, she was also looking for someone to take the mallard version and make it into a yellow duck, and then use white to kind of look like a goose. But some ducks are white too. So we were talking back and forth, and we thought we had come up with a webbed foot. So this still looked a little claw-ish. So we went back to the drawing board. I mean, it's still cute. I like it. But I'll probably cut these out and put the next one on it. Same with this. I'll probably cut these out and then just sew on the webbed feet. So we tried it again, and we went with doing it like this. And that's so much better. It looks like a webbed foot. And I'm like, now he looks like a little duck. So I did the yellow duck version. The white for a goose or a white duck. But I'm going to change his feet. And the mallard. And I'm going to change his feet as well. Now, these are, I sewed these on after the fact. They weren't crocheted in. So they might stick out just a tiny bit further than what they're supposed to. But I mean, the pattern's straightforward. She gives you lots of options on it. You know, like turn the seagull into a pelican. The cardinal, Heather did the cardinal. It is like so cute. It looks like one of the Angry Bird cardinals. I forget. There was a couple other people in the group that I know. And I forget which birds they had. Like Sue and Marcia were in there. Heather. And I can't think of other names off the top of my head. But it was very, very chatty group. So a lot of information shared. I think my favorite is the yellow one, then the mallard, then the white one. But I haven't done And I probably won't do the seagull. Oh, maybe one. I just keep thinking, gosh, not last year, in 2023, this pattern came out, Seth the Seagull, and I absolutely loved it. And I changed all the colors, made all different kinds of birds, and I still have every single one of those birds. So I'm a little hesitant. Now these are way cuter than Seth the Seagull was. And some style chickens sell, like Mabel chicken, didn't sell well for me. But like, you know, a chicken like the mini bird, they sell well. And the way these birds are made, you know, they got a cool shape about them. So they might do a whole lot better than Seth the Seagull style did. I don't know. But anyhow, we had a blast with that. So she did release her pattern. I think it was last night. And I'll have it linked below if you're interested in the sitting birds. I try to remember to put all the patterns in the link below just in case. Sometimes I miss one, but I'm sure if I do, somebody will point it out. Okay, so then I decided, because I don't know, I was in a bird mood. I pulled out a pattern that I bought, I believe at the end of 2023, and I absolutely love this pattern. It's for a mallard duck, but you can also do it yellow and make the yellow duck. And anytime I've made one of these, they've sold. It doesn't matter if it's mallard form or yellow duck form. They're just like really sweet looking. So this time, instead of doing it in Parfait Chunky, I decided to do it in the Chenille Brights, which is the same thing I did the sitting birds out of. And we got this duck. Is this not just the cutest darn duck? I've always liked this pattern, and I haven't made it in so long. It was fun to get it out and do it again. And the only sewing on this is putting the head onto the body. On these, there is no sewing. As long as you get the feet right first and don't cut them off and have to reattach them. I just love this pattern. This person, the shop, they have some great patterns. I actually have quite a few of their patterns. And I haven't made any of them in a while. But this, I just loved it. I might, with Easter coming, I might have to do a couple more of these. I really, really do like it. Now this yellow is very bright, hence the name Chenille Brights. So it kind of adds to that cartoony look. And I think I used 20 millimeter eyes with these. I don't remember. I'm getting limited on some of the sizes that I can actually get the backs to go on that are not damaged backs. I'm so bummed about those that are damaged. So, Mary and I were talking on the phone, and she shows me this chicken pattern. You noticing a theme here with birds? She shows me this chicken pattern. I'm like, that thing is so cool looking. I like it. And we were talking about how good it would look if we used it and displayed the chicks and the eggs with it. And it was a fairly inexpensive pattern, so I bought it. I have a problem. I just keep getting more and more patterns. I am like totally hooked on this. So I bought it, and I'm like, I'm going to make it out of Bernat because why not? It says in the pattern, it says it should be 11 centimeters, which is approximately 4.5 inches. And I'm like, I'd like it to be a little bigger than that, so let me use the Bernat. So I used the Sonoma color, and we have this beast. This thing is absolutely huge. This chicken is life-size. When I'm making it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is never ending. And I took the yarn and just stuffed it inside it like it was a big bowl, put it aside. Because I was like, you're going round and round and round. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's like 64 stitches going around. I'm like, this is making me crazy. It's taking forever. So I'd set it aside. And then I go back to it. You know, I don't make anything else in between. I just give myself a little break and think about it. And I go back to it. I'm like, I'm going to finish this because I really want it to go with the chicks and the eggs. So here's my big chicken. And there's the chick and the egg. Just imagine them sitting on display with each other. I mean, how cute is that going to be? Now, I wish that I had picked a different color. Some things look good with variegated yarn, some don't. What I don't like about what happened here is because we started doing so many rounds of the same stitch count, it started to form a pattern with it. And I didn't like that. I'm just weird like that. I can't help it. I'm not usually a variegated yarn fan. Now, had I had some mystical and like Canyon or the black, or there's a couple other colors that would have been good, I would have used that. It wouldn't have been quite as big, but it still would have came out pretty big. Now this thing was taking so much stuffing. I put some in the bottom, spread it around to the sides. I started putting my yarn clippings in there. I'd put in some more stuffing, then I'd add some more yarn clippings and some more stuffing and some more yarn clippings. And I'm just like, it's going to take 5 pounds of stuffing just to fill this thing. It is huge, but I think it's going to look fantastic on display with the chicks and the eggs. And Mary's idea. So thank you, Mary. But I just think it's going to look really cute sitting next to each other on the table. I do indeed. Searching for, oh gee, what do I want to make? This was Friday, okay? So I finished the chicken Friday, I did the yellow duck Friday, and then I started to make a squid, and I got about 3 rounds into it, and it's probably getting right around between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the evening. The power goes out. Well, the power company's been working on the road all day long. So whatever happened, they did it. So then I'm sitting here in the dark because it gets dark so early this time of year. And I sat there for 2 hours in the dark because of whatever it is that they did. So when the lights finally did come back on, I got to finish my squid. He's not completely finished because it looks strange without a mouth. And these eyes, for some reason, the color just isn't showing through. I mean, those are silver eyes, but they look like they're all black right now. So he needs a little smile and it'll be completely finished. So I'm still sticking with trying to use up my scraps. And I started with this. I believe this one is a big twist plush color. And I was not going to have enough to do all the tentacles. So I got out a white and alternated the colors. 1 white, 1 variegated, 1 white, 1 variegated. And that gave me just enough with the tiniest little bit left over. So we have one fancy squid that still needs his mouth. So still trying to figure out what do I want to do. I said, you know what? Let me make a curly snake. Another one. So I did. And I decided I'm going to try to do Bloom because Some of these variegated yarns look really good on the snake. Some of them. Depends on how the colors are spaced out. Well, I don't have that many. So I used Bloom. And I did it with this yellow. Now, yellow would not normally be my choice. It's just, I like yellow, but I don't know. But I think how the colors worked up with the little pinks and greens showing through, that it turned out really nice. So I started this like Friday night and finished it up on Saturday. And in the meantime, we're working on this pattern. And I wasn't going to show you guys, but I'm going to show you guys because I'm excited about it. So Mary and I were chatting, and she's like, oh, you could totally do this. And I'm like, well, I can try. So I had a picture of a dog toy to look at. And kind of trying to, I wish I could have done it just like it. But, you know, of course, that toy was made from fabric. And I'm just looking at a picture, so I have no idea what size. But just, you know, the general idea of the dog toy. So this one is my first prototype. If you can't tell what it is a monkey. I would have rather had oval-shaped eyes, but I didn't have any that were big enough. And it was so interesting because I had to start the head and the body. Like, I think this was my third start with it. The first one, it was going to be giant. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want it that big. Second one was still too big. So, you know, I kept going down and down and down and finally settled on this. Now this I used because I was, you know, it's a prototype. I have to make it up as I go. I used toucan. I have a little bit of that left. Not my favorite yarn to use. Now, I like how it feels. I like how it has structure to it. But if you make a mistake with it, which obviously this was not the type of project to choose for it, it's like impossible to frog without destroying the yarn. And then you're cutting and having to, you know, add it back in like you're doing a color change. It's just not fun. So we have this leggy sock monkey type plushie. I think they're really cute. I didn't have a whole lot of color choices when I was doing this because, you know, when I'm out of the toucan, I'm out. But I figured, why waste my good stuff trying to figure it out? So after we got this done, and then I have to decipher my notes and take pictures as I go, I decided let me do another one. Well, I got carried away, and in some sections of it, I forgot to take pictures. So now I'm going to have to make a third one to finish those pictures. But this time, I decided to use pom-pom. And I think this one is much cuter. But when I did this, the only sewing is putting the muzzle on. I do think that sewing the ears in is a better choice than crocheting them in. These are just like really floppy. And I think they need to be a little sturdier. These I sewed on because I wasn't sure of placement until, you know, these are on there much sturdier and they stay facing the right direction. So that'll be an option in the pattern. You can either sew or crochet it in. Or you can crochet it in and just leave a little bit of tail and reinforce it with a few stitches, which would be perfectly fine. So yeah, once I get the pictures and get everything all typed up, which is mostly done, just I need to add a few notes to it. Then I will be sending it out to the testers, and this little cutie will be available very, very soon. hopefully. And I have some other ideas with that body style too. So there could be more to come following that, depending on what type of reaction, depending on how well that does. We'll just put it that way. So I have signed up for another market. I know I'm a glutton for punishment. It is going to be on January 26th, and I am so hoping that the weather is going to be nice and I'm not going to freeze my butt off. At least it's a daytime market. It's on a Sunday. It is some type of Puerto Rican festival. I cannot pronounce the words. I don't speak a lick of Spanish, except I can count to 10. And, you know, I might be using Google Translate that day. Who knows? But I'm excited about it. It's going to be at the same location as my last market, just different organizers. It's actually through a Spanish radio station, which really surprised me. So I'm sure it's getting heavily advertised. You know, it's their event, you know they're talking about it. There's only supposed to be 50 vendors, so that narrows it down some and, you know, makes the odds better that your items will sell. At least that's my thinking. I at first I thought I liked the idea of the places that have 100+ vendors. And then I started thinking about it. Well, that just opens up too many options. So I think 50 is probably a good number. But I'm really excited about it. It's like from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we'll be closing up when it's dark. But what I did, because I need a better way to set up my booth. And I know I have experimented with a ton of things. But of all the channels that I watch, the one thing that always stands out to me as looking so nice and so easy to do is the way Stacy has those stacking bookshelves. And I had talked to her a while back about it. And, you know, like, aren't you worried they're going to tip over on people? She said, no, they put a weight on the bottom and then they attach the top with a bungee cord to the canopy. So if it falls, it's not going to fall on top of anybody. So I ordered 2. Only because I only did 2. Well, one, price was a thing because they're like almost $70 a piece. But I needed to know, how flat do they fold down? I only have so much space in my car. But I was thinking, if I have these, it can eliminate a table. Which those lay flat in the car too, so that doesn't save much space. But if I can eliminate the table and those cubes, oh, the cubes would be huge to be able to get rid of those, because putting them together and taking them apart is a bear. I need things that are going to lay flat, that don't take up a lot of space in the car. I mean, it's not a big car. It's just a Ford Escape. So and when you have the canopy and everything else, like, I love the wood crates. I love the look of the wood crates, but they take up a lot of space in the car. A whole lot. So I only have 2. If I filled my car with those, there wouldn't be anywhere for plushies to be. And I don't want to add a trailer hitch and pull a trailer. I wouldn't be able to drive. I wouldn't be able to back up. I would be a nervous wreck. I just, you know, they'd have to put me on some Xanax or something to pull a trailer. And that just, it wouldn't be pretty. At all. So I get to play around this week. And what is today? Is the 12th. So I have 13 days, basically. 2 weeks to figure out how I want to do that. And then I'll have all these things that I've spent money on that I don't necessarily use. Now, some things that I have, they're nice, but because of the style of shelves that they are, if I'm outside, the wind blows everything off of them. But I might, because those lay flat and they look nice. I might take those with me this coming time. I'll have to pull out a table and put them together and set it up and take a look, because I don't have a lot of big things. And then at the same time, I know people like to dig. So it's like, you know, how neat and organized do you want to be if people would rather dig in a bin or a basket? I don't know. Anyhow, I'm rambling enough, and I have some videos to go watch and some editing to do and some pictures to take. Okay, you guys, I will see you in the next video.